Welcome back, everybody, to the You Ask We podcast, the show where you ask the questions, they answer them, and I'm just the guy in the middle. And this week, we have an amazing guest because, as a former college basketball player, he now has over 4 years of experience in basketball operations, player development, scouting, and analytics as the director of basketball associations with Dashletics. And he also oversees training with a bunch of NBA stars such as Kevin Durant, Jaylen Brown, Paul George, Karl Anthony Towns, and more. I want to give a warm welcome to Mr. Michael Hayon. Michael, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? How's your day going?
Thank God, can't complain. How you been?
Good, man. Good. Just busy, you
How's
know.
the morning treating you?
Well, busy is good though.
Yeah, for sure. So, the way the show works is normally everyone submits questions and we answer them. But the first question always comes from me, and that's what's new? What's new with you?
Um, what's new? I would say I'm in the gym a lot. So honestly, like I can't give you more than just I've been training a lot of it's this NBA season now, so I'm not seeing a lot of NBA guys. I'm seeing a lot of kids, a lot of just our usual clients that are back in town. Some of them from overseas, some of them from off season. A lot of them are just back overseas now in season two. But really, like we got a lot of kids groups starting an AAU team, Dashletics, middle school AAU team because it's year round. So that's been a lot of work in itself also. So just really private training, building up this AU program, grind out the rest of the year, doing a lot of film. Dash has been on the road a lot. So Dash has been in Portland, in Utah, in Boston, pretty much everywhere you could think of. He's just been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He's barely here. So I've kind of had to hold it down a little bit over here with the kids groups, with the morning groups, with our, clients that we have throughout the day. Justin as well, one of the other skills trainers with us. And then we've been getting a lot of help from a few other guys also that work with us. But it's been good. Just been, busy. It's a grind. But we're around basketball all day, so it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I hear that. And I feel like especially with AAU, it's probably harder to maintain than like some like NBA and like professional players and stuff because it's like they're basically all year round, no?
Right, right. Yeah. It's all year round. So it's a lot of, you know, I guess maintenance, like with the NBA guys, you just get in the gym, you just, Dash leads the way and you just kind of follow his lead. And yeah. But with the kids, I feel like also the kids is where it kind of challenges me a little more as a trainer. So I get to really like try stuff because like with me, like I'm not like in a session leading a session with like an NBA guy. Typically, like that's not typically like what it is. It's Dash is leading that, and I'm just like taking notes the whole time. I'm just sitting there. I'm doing what I need to do, whether it's rebound, whether it's defense, shadow defense, uh, pass, whatever it is that I need to do in the session for him. I do it, but and that I'm more observing. In the kids groups, I feel like he gives us a lot of freedom to like implement the stuff and really like work on it, which is good. Kids are a really good building block, really good tool. And if you could train a kid, really well and know what you're doing, it'll help you even with pros. So
Well, what would you
yeah.
say is your favorite drill to do for kids, like specifically?
Whew. I don't really have a favorite drill, I feel like. For me, like there's like the foundationals of stuff. So like we'll work a lot of like just ball handling to warm up. And then from there we do a lot of form shooting and we have like balance footwork for different, shooting and maintaining balance. Um a lot of pickups. So like off the dribble, you warm up your pickups. So I don't really have a favorite drill per se.
Mhm.
I do love like when we do like sets, especially like in the summer with because I know you said best drills for kids. Like I just love seeing kids go at it. Like honestly, I love when we have fives or threes, or we have like different sets and like the handoffs. different sets in the pick and roll, in floppy. So just different, basic basketball sets, and just kind of seeing the kids get competitive and like go at it. Because not every kid has a dog in them. So you like to see who's like, who's got the dog, who's got the little, mental advantage. Which one like separates themselves from the other. With pros, most of them, I don't want to say all of them, but most of them, they got the dog in them. So it's really just like, I would say my favorite drills for those are the ones that like, they're like sets. So Dash would have like, let's say a guy start in the corner, curl into the elbow. And then I would contest at the elbow. And then he'd be like, all right, now you're gonna flare out to the wing. You're gonna play Mike in ones with like the stick. So like I'll have like the guarding stick, and like I'll guard like these like the guys in the corner. I'll guard them like here, and then they'll get a shot here, and then I'll guard them there. So like those ones are the most fun for me because I got to be on my toes. Like I got to be ready to guard, and it's like very interactive. So I enjoy those ones. They're obviously they're the tough ones too, because you don't want to get embarrassed by these guys.
Mhm.
But they're the most interactive, so they're the most fun for me. But yeah.
Tight. And it's always fun to see who's got that dog in them, as you said. That's funny.
No, 100%, 100%.
So yeah, let's get into some of these questions that people submitted. This first one comes from Sam. What made you want to become a trainer and how did you get into it?
So funny enough, I don't really want to be a trainer per se. It's just something that I kind of got really, I guess, good at the last year. And I still got a lot to learn. Uh, but I got solid at it, I think, the last year. Because I've just been in the gym a lot with Dash and with, around different guys, kids groups, like it's a really big grind. You're up at 5 in the morning, you're in the gym at 6 or a little before 6, like 10, 15 minutes before. You get there before 6, you're there from 6 to 7, and then like it's year round. Obviously, there are more busy periods than others. My long-term goal in all of this is not to be a trainer.
Right.
My long-term goal in all of this is eventually I want to be an agent or work in the front office for a team. So for me, you know, being a trainer is really just kind of being in the trenches with these guys, being able to like observe up close and in front, like the work ethic, um, the different talents. So you see like anywhere from kids, talented kids, to pros that are all stars, pros that are in EuroLeague, pros that are in the PBA, in the CBA, G League. So you get to see the different levels of talent and what separates them. So for me, being able to identify talent as an agent is a big thing, right? So that's a skill that I'm kind of building in itself, just being around this. And the network that comes out of it. So just networking with different people, getting to put yourself out there, connecting with guys. I've always been like a people's person. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. I love helping. So really the long-term goal in all of this is to get there. Right now for me is about building my basketball knowledge, building up my basketball mind more and more and more, with all this. And so how I kind of got into it, actually, funny enough, I finished college. I finished basketball in college in 2019. I got back home and it was COVID. And an architect that I used to work for, like in the summers when I would be back from school, I would just train. And then I found myself a little summer job one time for an architect. I was her runner. So I would go and just run stuff to building and safety. So she told me her son is looking for a private basketball coach. And actually, that's how I got started. I started training this 11, he was at the time, he was 11 years old. And I would just go and really implement all the like drills and stuff that I had from my private coaches, from, from my coaches in high school, college. I would take drills from that and implement it. But then once I started trying to take it to another level, because I really just wanted to see the kid get better. Like my goal was to make him, get to on his high school team, and then from there, he wants to play pro still. So it's like about getting him to the next level. So then I started looking up basketball trainers. And that's actually funny enough how I found Dash. Like I found Dash over COVID, I would say probably about like 4 years ago, about 4 years ago now. And I would just watch his videos and then I would take his drills or I would implement, because I just thought what separated him was how his instruction, just the way he gave information. It just clicked and it just made sense right away. There are a lot of other trainers that I went, and looked at also. But Dash was really the one that stood out for me. And so that's kind of how I got started. I got started with a kid who was 11. He ended up bringing up, a few more of his like friends and stuff. And so I started building that way. And then eventually I met Dash in person about a little over a year ago. And we hit it off and started my first session with him and been there since.
That's amazing. And I mean, it's also really interesting because it's like I'm like the same way. I'm trying to be an agent also, God willing, you know. I'm just going in a slightly different route. Like instead of like I'm still trying to make the connections and all that stuff, but it's like I'm in school now, so it's like I'm hoping the degrees will help carry me there. But it's like honestly, it's really, really like good, like probably even better, like what you're doing, like making the connections with the athletes themselves, like early on. So when you do become an agent, they're just like, oh, like I know him, I've trained with him like forever. So it's like it's a
Right.
smart thing you're doing. That's awesome.
Yep.
And so it's like Dashletics was pretty much just like kind of a coincidence in a sense.
Um, I would say a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of a coincidence for me. I just want to be around the game at the highest level and around like the best basketball minds and the best, players at the like so for me just being around them and building that trust, that loyalty, that relationship is huge. To be an agent, to be in the front office, when there's no like, oh, I go to school for 4 years and then learn how to be a nurse and I take my exams and now I'm a nurse. It's like very unorthodox how you get there. Everyone has like a different story.
It's true.
um I've heard of guys who started off like, like me as rebounders for guys. And then eventually, as time goes on, they build these great relationships with players. And it turns into something. And, they end up getting their, stuff done for the agent's exam. They have their 4-year degree done and they're agents. And then all you really need is one. You get one player and you start that way. And then you just, from there, it's you got to keep building, but obviously you just, all you need is one to start and to be an agent. Some guys got one client, some guys got 10. But yeah, I guess it was a little bit of a coincidence how I ended up with Dash. I just felt like it was the right time and I needed a little change, and I wanted to, and I was ready for it too. So I think it was just perfect timing. It was kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, literally, it's the Jerry Maguire effect. All you need is one.
Right.
Literally.
Exactly.
So this next question comes from Matthew. Um, you kind of answered this a little bit already. It's like, how'd you get involved with Dashletics and how did you find yourself training with, all these NBA superstars and all your clients?
Okay, so I'll answer it a little bit better. So,
Yeah.
about a year ago, one of actually Yeshiva alumni, Ryan Terrell, was in LA playing against the South Bay Lakers with the Motor Cruise with his team, with his G League team, and I ended up going to the game. And I was at the game, and I saw Dash from the side over there. And I obviously I know who Dash is. I've seen him in his videos for years, and like I'm like, okay, like I need to go say something. So I went and I introduced myself. I don't think he even remembers this honestly, but I went and I introduced myself, said what's up. Got his I don't even remember if I got his number, but I got his Instagram or his number maybe also. And anyways, ended up hitting up Ryan after the game just to talk a little bit. And I was like, hey, like, do you think Dash would be okay if I came and helped him out on his sessions? He's like, dude, just DM him, see if he's, I'm sure he'd be down. And tell him you know me if you need anything. So I ended up DMing him, and the first time I don't think he even answered me, but the second time that I DM'd him, he answered me. He's like, "Do you think you can make a session in 20 minutes?" I'm like, 20 minutes? Yeah, bet. Put my clothes on, went to the gym, ended up at Proactive. Um, and got to Proactive. I think my first session was Michael Carter Williams, with him and with Justin. And I came in, I said hi, introduced myself, and then I just shut up the rest of the time and just rebounded the ball and just rebounded the ball. You don't want the ball to touch the ground. Don't let it touch the ground as much as possible, and just show them effort. And when we finished the session and stuff, like um Justin was working with MC Dub, Michael Carter Williams, like all summer, and Dash obviously as well. And so, like they're getting a little picture in and stuff. And I didn't approach it. Like I didn't go over there. I didn't say, hey, can I get a pic with Mike? Whatever. Um, and actually came to me afterwards and he's like, I like that you did that. It's like he's been working with him all summer. Like that's how, but like with these guys, they're just guys at the end of the day. They're not, yeah, they're best in the world at what they do, basketball, but you got to walk in there and, just be a professional about things. So I guess I just carried myself well the first one. And so he brought me back and then kept carrying myself well throughout the rest of them and just kept growing out of there. And then finding myself training with these guys, with these stars. Honestly, just another blessing. I got lucky. Dash is the one who really runs that and really, gets those guys whatever he needs from me in terms of, setting up gym time. If we're like when we're in Vegas, he had me look for a gym. But it ended up working itself out. But like just different stuff, like think of it kind of as like a manager assistant type role. Like I'm there to help, but really he just runs that. He's the one who's got full reins of like, the relationships. And I think just being in the gym that we were in this past summer helped build those connections a lot, that network a lot. And we are just right place, right time, doing really good work, really high level, intense like workouts. And guys saw that from the side and, decided they wanted to join and, get in on it. So I really think just putting in the work and just, doing the workouts, it'll just speak for itself. Like there's a reason these workouts get so many views. Yeah. Like, yeah, the stars are in them, but also like
It's a good workout.
it's a good workout. Exactly. So,
And honestly, like not being starstruck, obviously it's super hard to not be starstruck sometimes, but it's so beneficial. Like if you're trying to get in this field, because it's like they don't want people that are just like gawking at them all day. Like they just want people that will like help them with their business, with their game, whatever it is. Like they
right.
just need the assistance. They don't need someone just like idolizing them like all the time. Like,
And that's facts. And you see it
yeah.
a lot. You see it a lot. And,
Mhm.
it's definitely a mental thing to get over at first. But once you're around it for a sec, like it's just you just realize they're people and everyone Google eyes them all day, probably. And you just don't want to be one of those guys, especially if you're trying to get into the field that you and I are trying to get into.
Yeah,
Like you want to look at them as and you want them to look at you as well as peers. And I think that's also why, being being in the training stuff the way that I am, is more respectful than the guy who just kind of, has a dad who does this and like kind of gives him the reins or knows somebody really well or is related to somebody that like can go and give him an agency job or an assistant job in an agency or something like that, which is what I see a lot of. I think players respect the fact that you're there on the court with them and attentive and like, I had to bump a lot of these guys. They're big, strong guys. They're really, really skilled. Um, and I think they respect it when you don't back down to them and you you try to do the best that you can and give them the best effort that you can because you're just trying to get them better at the end of the day.
That's literally how I'm friends with Ofek Reef. I don't know. That's literally how I'm friends with him because it's like we played pickup and it's like I didn't back down and it's like he was just like, oh, all right, he's chill. Like I wasn't like, oh, he's so good at basketball. Like they don't like it as much as people think.
For
Like
sure.
you just gotta be chill. You just gotta hoop with them. Like
Exactly.
enjoy the game as much as they do, and they'll enjoy your presence. Like it's all
Ask
chill.
Ofik about his recruiting trip. I was the guy who Elliot sent to bring Ofik in. So Ofik was he wasn't my rookie because I was out by the time he came in,
Right.
but Ofik is my guy. Shout out Ofik. I love
Yeah.
Ofik.
Wait, you recruited him, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so how did that?
Togweta, I think also Togweta, yeah.
Wait, so it's like how did that go? Like when you recruited him, like anything funny or like it was just chill?
Honestly, it was just chill. I think the funniest thing maybe about that was he came out to New York, and I believe I gave him I'm trying to remember if it was him or there was another kid that I recruited that came out there, Ben. He didn't end up coming actually. He was about to, but he didn't end up coming. I forgot his last name right now. But Ofek, I think they gave me like the card or whatever for the school, and I was like, we could go to the calf, I'll get you food, like we could go to like Chop Chop and
Right.
other spots. He's like, nah, like I feel like a Taco Bell or something. So we ended up walking to Taco Bell and just getting that. But
Right.
Ofik's a great kid. I mean, we hit it off. We still chit chat here and there, but nah, it was chill. It was chill, honestly. Just nothing too crazy. Um,
That's
but
dope.
yeah, I think I showed him a good enough time for him to come. So it worked out in the end.
That's really funny, Taco Bell. That's so him. Like that's
Uh,
so so yeah, this next question comes from David. So he's curious, like when you say you help develop a player's skill set, like how exactly do you do it? Because it's like I know like a lot of NBA players especially, like they have their like specific bag, you know?
right,
So it's like how do you help develop that?
right. So, and this would probably be like the best question for Dash. But for me to answer that, just from what I've seen, observing from up close, is just really about just sharpening whatever it is you're looking to sharpen, whether it's the handle, whether it's the shot, whether it's the finish at the basket, whether it's the shot off the handle, whatever it is that you're looking to sharpen. Like I've learned stacking is so big, so kind of starting basic, like then like a warm up, and then just building up into like more intense work, but really just sharpening up like the skill set um is big. And so there's like foundational drills that we do, but also is challenging guys mentally. So that says something that's really true. And, I follow suit with is the shots that you make don't really count until you're tired. So, like, when you're at the end of the workout and your legs are tired and you're fatigued and, you know, things don't feel right in your head and you're in your head and you maybe get more instructional in your head, like that's when it really counts. So really getting them through the mental, side of things, because the pace in the NBA is just so up and down now. A lot of guys, they try to get a lot of points on the board. So it's really just kind of like sharpening the mental a lot, as well as just keeping, because all these guys are in the NBA. They made the NBA for a reason. They're either one really hella talented, or they work really hard, or both. They work really hella hard and they're talented. So um, it's really just being a guide and just everything that we do, we take out of film. So himself and I watch a lot of film, whether it's together or separate, and everything that is put um into the drills is really off of film, or it's just helping sharpen like a tool. So we have like our balance footwork, um, like form shots. So we'll do form shots, and then we'll get into our balance footwork and where we like challenge guys balance into the shot. Like I don't know if you've seen KD with do the whole spin thing that he does. He does his whole spin and then up into the shot for his warm up. But it's really like that, just really challenging guys like balance into a shot has been a big thing because they're in so many different spots on the court, going at so many different paces that your feet could end up like this, like that, and you just want to be able to find the cleanest way to get it like correct.
Mm.
Um, but really, like just whatever it is the player needs to fix. So like a player could come in and say, you know, I want to work on finishing at the rim better. I want to, you know, work on my shot. But really, we have synergy. Dash has synergy, and he'll look at, you know, hot spots on the floor, cold spots on the floor, like where he wants to really get like the good work in, what he wants to develop. He'll really get it from the data and just from watching a lot of film. So, yeah.
So it's literally like it's a client to client basis, basically.
Yeah, no client's the same. But obviously, you know, we do use some certain drills for the same, you know, people. Um, but yeah, no, it's really depends on the client and what they need to work on. Whether it's just sharpening, you know, what it is they're already good at, or trying to improve on something, or just add something completely new to their bag that they didn't have before. It really just depends on the situation.
Yeah. And moving on to this next question, because you kind of touched on it just now. This one comes from Jacob. Training with a bunch of different athletes, what would you say sets NBA players apart from the other athletes like AAU, G League, stuff like that? Like, what do you think sets them apart? I know you
Um,
touched on it for a second, but yeah.
what would I say sets them apart? I mean, I've seen a lot of talented guys. I think the thing that separates them apart the most, one is shooting. Like guys at the pro level, and especially in the NBA, but pro level, could really shoot the ball like at a really, really, really high clip, and they expect it of themselves. So they're very like, if they're missing shots, it doesn't feel normal to them. At least that's most guys. Obviously, there are guys in the NBA that don't shoot as well. Um, so for those guys, if it's not the shot, then it's the athletic ability, whether it's, you know, how high they could jump off the ground or how fast they could get up the floor, but the athletic ability and the size is just different, like length, height, and then just the coordination that comes with that too. Um, Footwork is a big thing, I think, also that I see. And then also just pace. Being able to play with pace is like one of the really key things because these guys move at such a high intensity, high speed, high level that it's almost like they need to slow themselves down. Because like the game just moves so fast, but then if you're able to slow yourself down and be so sharp and comfortable in like your handle and in your skill set, those are like that's what separates the best players. I feel like just being able to play within the spots of in the floor, being able to react, and just really control tempo, control pace. Like, you know, you see guys like Luca, for instance, like not the most athletic, not the quickest, um, but the guy gets to his spots and you can't really stop it because he's just such a high IQ guy. So There are a lot of factors. I would say the biggest really might be shooting and just, the mental, the IQ, just being able to see spots on the floor, being able to slow down and just really like see the game at a different pace is really big, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like honestly, I feel like a lot of people like when they hear this question, they kind of just leave it at like, oh, like the mentality is just different. Which like, yeah, it's true, but it's also like people fail to realize that even since like high school, like these people like in all aspects of the game are way beyond everybody else. Like literally, for example, like Pat Bev, like he's not known as a scorer in the NBA, but like in high school, he was like he had his way with whoever was guarding him. It didn't matter. He was like dropping like 30, 40 points. Like
Yeah, right.
like they're just leagues ahead of everyone, like even since like high school, like and people just don't remember that.
Right. You could take a guy who probably averaged like, I don't know, like bottom of the end of the bench in the NBA, whatever it is. If you just put him in the right situation, he could score 20, 30 in the NBA game.
Bro,
Like it's
Thanasis on Antetokounmpo could like run through everybody. Like,
yeah.
what
So it's really just a different level, honestly. And it's more than mentality, but I will say the mentality part of it is big. But just like not being so vague about it. Just I've seen a lot of guys that, you know, their mental is really what screws them up. And also just being able to take instruction is another big thing. Being able to take instruction and know where you're at on the floor and know which side of the floor you're on. Like your IQ and understanding the game of basketball is a really big thing. Um, like a lot of guys, like I actually was watching something the other day that said like LeBron really took his game to another level when he started to become a student of the game. So like before he wasn't calling out like plays on the floor, right? Like he wasn't calling out like what the other team was doing basically. Like, oh, hedge the pick here, he's gonna get a shot there, he's gonna curl over here, he's gonna, like whatever it is like that's going on the floor. Um, like once I think it was when he started to get to Miami. Like that after that Dallas series, after that first year in Miami was really when he started doing that. And everyone said once he started, like Doc Rivers said it actually. Once he started doing that, he started calling out what the Celtics were running during the playoff series, started calling out the play for what it was, like set, like literally screen for screen, movement for movement, whatever it was. Like that's when like what separates guys, like the best of the best. Just knowing where to be on the floor when you need to be there is really huge.
Yeah, so this next question comes from Tyler. He wants to know who's your favorite player that you've ever trained with?
Ooh, that's a good question. Favorite player. I mean, my favorite sessions because we've had only like I would say three with KD. So I would say definitely the ones with KD are fun, really fun.
Mhm.
Uh, the three that we had, one of them was with PG, which was really fun, and then the other two, I was not at one because it was Yom Kippur, so I was at home fasting. But the other one that I had with them, I'll never forget that one. Because it was just like I remember just being in a stance at the 3-point line and Dash and Katie's at half court with the ball, and Dash is like, you're gonna play Mike in ones with the stick over here. You're gonna hit a shot over here. You're gonna go curl over here, pop out to the corner, hit a shot, and then lift at the top. So he's just giving him all these instructions, and like in between, like the reps, like in between the shots that he's taking, he's going live with me in spots. And so I remember just being at the top of the key at the 3-point line, and he's at half court dribbling the ball up, and I'm just like, get low right now. Like you're guarding KD. Like it's the best. Like this is like the best offensive dude probably in the world. One of the best like players of all time. Top 10 scorer ever. Um,
Yeah.
but other than that, I would say my favorite, like one of my favorite clients, honestly, is probably Cat. Like Cat really like Cat's a tough guard, and he brings a lot of energy like to sessions. Like his energy is great. Um, so yeah, I would say probably those ones. But I mean, I know it's cliche to say like because like I'm naming probably like the biggest like guys, but like I've had like really good sessions with PG. I think PG is really cool, really chill,
Mhm.
comes in, does his work, and then like JB also, Jalen Brown, like we've had some really good sessions. That like I'll forever remember too, because like I think he was one of the him and Cat really tested me a lot. Like I feel like in a way, like it was like we got to test like if this dude like is like gonna mentally break or like it's like JB and I like there was one workout we had with Dash that it was a lot of the same thing, like hit a shot here, hit a shot here, guard here, and like he was talking. And so I had to like, and there was one point like we're both in the corner and like we'll do this drill where it's like I'll have the guarding stick. So I'm like Victor Wembanyama type length, just
Yeah.
make it tough for them. Um, and obviously helps me a little bit too, but you know, I have to like stay in front of him. So we were playing this game basically. If he scores, it's 1 point. If he misses a shot, um, it's half a point. And if I get a stop, like a blocker steal, it depends. Sometimes we'll do 1 point, sometimes we'll do 2 points. Um, so JB and I are like on the last spot. It's 4-4. So it's like if I get a stop, I win the spot. If he gets like, if he gets the score, then he wins the spot. And I remember just like we were just going at it and he was talking and like I was talking back, like but like it was like very competitive, very, very like competitive and just like when you could bring the best or help bring the best out of guys in that, in those circumstances, like that's really like the best feeling, I think. Like just being able to be a challenge. Like I don't want to like just get walked over every session. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to make it tough on guys. So like, and then I also want to show like I'm not gonna back down to them also because like they'll test you. They really will.
And also the real life competition won't back down either. So it's like, why should you?
Exactly. Exactly. So
Let them get better.
yep, exactly.
I
And it's
mean,
just beneficial. And
yeah, I mean, speaking of Jalen Brown, it's like, what do you think of the whole like he can't dribble with his left hand allegations about him going around on social media right now? What do you think about that?
uh I mean, shoot, he's gone left a lot more this year, right? He's been finishing left this year a lot.
True,
Um,
true.
I just I just think it's like people don't like people want to say, oh, it's just that. Like it's just that he can't go left. Like obviously, like not everyone's ambidextrous. Like guys like to go left that are left-handed like to go left more than right, and guys who are right-handed like to go right more than left. And the
Mhm.
guys who like to go right more than left when they drive to the rim probably like pulling up better going left, or just as well going left as they do right. So I think the biggest thing for Jalen was not going left. It was really just kind of like slowing himself down and not being off balance when like he gets pressured. So like when like especially smaller defenders, they like to get up into your space a lot. And I feel like when you're so explosive like Jalen, like like JB, he's so explosive in his movements that like a lot of our workouts this summer were really slow. Like he would like every rep was hard, but he just moved so slow because it was like I need to slow myself down and be on balance. Even when I hit these explosive movements, I need to be on balance. And I think that was the biggest thing like for him that I saw. Um, and so I don't think it was as much like, oh, he doesn't like to go left or he can't go left. Like the guy can go left, believe me. Like I tried it. I was guarding him. Guy can go left and finish. But I think that was the biggest thing that people didn't really see is just staying on balance, slowing yourself down in explosive movements and not being uncomfortable, like still being comfortable with the guy up in your space, crowding you. Um, yeah, I think that was really the biggest thing more than the whole, oh, he can't go left misconception.
Yeah, that's true. 100%. So, yeah, getting into some of these anonymous questions now. We just talked about who your favorite players were to work with, who your favorite clients were. But the first one is asking, who was your hardest working client? Like, who came to the gym, just like went absolutely ham, you know?
Wow, that's a good question. Um, we'll say this is no slight to anybody because I think all of them really work hard. Like all of these guys, like what sets most of them apart is not just the talent, but their work ethic. When they come and work out, it's intense and it's high level. Two guys that really stood out to me, I think. One is Colin Sexton, and Colin Sexton is really intense, like really locked in, like facial expressions and everything just like in a zone, like to another level. So I think Colin Sexton is a really hard worker. He puts in a lot of time. Dashes over in Utah a lot because of him, and also Johnny Juzang. Shout out Johnny Juzang. But yeah, definitely, Colin is one of them. And then the other one I want to say is KD, because like when we had that one workout I was telling you about where I was guarding the top and stuff, right before we got in it wasn't really a planned workout. Like he just hit us up. We literally left Proactive. So we we're at Proactive at the gym and we finished our last session for the day. We left and he called Dash, or his guy called Dash and said, yo, I want to get a workout in right now. So it took us a little bit to get back to the gym because we were like already back home and stuff, but just got back home, turned right back around, went right back to the gym. And I got there before Dash because I live a little closer. By the time I walked in, he's a full sweat, just playing one of his guys, Mac. Shout out Mac, my guy. Playing him in ones and like full sweat, just like it was like a lot of guys be done after that. And then he went through the whole workout and just every rep and the pace that he works in is just it's game speed. It's game like it could be, I don't want to say the most simple, but look like the most simple movement, but it's like it's all game speed, it's all hard, it's all intense. And the
Mhm.
way he challenges his balance in workouts and the way he just moves is just it's unique. It's different than like anything I've really seen. Like I remember just first being in the gym and seeing it like and like thinking to myself like he looks like a cyborg. Like he doesn't look real. Like a guy that tall, like 7 feet and like, skinny and like he just shouldn't be able to move like that and he does and it's like the most it's so pretty. Like I don't know how to it's just
Uh,
as a basketball fan, it's just so nice to watch. It's so smooth. I don't know how to explain it. It's just different. So I would say those two guys really stood out, to me the most. But all those guys really work hard, like really hard. They're in the weight room and then on court, multiple times a day. So, and then recovery is a whole workout in itself, like getting the kinks and the knots and all the different sore spots and pain that's in your body. Like it's a whole workout, and recovery is like a whole challenge in itself. It's a lot of it's mental too. So those guys really, like, each and every one of them work really, really hard. But yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I love how you brought up Colin Sexton because he's such a dog. Like it's insane. Like
Such
he
a dog.
almost won a 3v5 in college. Like I'm certain you know about that. Like that was
Oh, 100%. He's
insane.
he's a dog. He really is. He's intense, and I think a lot of guys see it and respect the hell out of it too.
Yeah, he's great. He's honestly, I think he can be like really big in the league in a few years. Like honestly, like I think he's due
For
for
sure.
a season, you know?
For
But
sure. For sure.
speaking of that, this next anonymous question, like based on people you've trained with, right? Who do you think
Right.
who do you think is due for a breakout season or a comeback season?
Um, Breakout comeback season. That's a good question. I mean, we only worked out with him once or twice, but he's kind of in a breakout season. But we've only worked him out once or twice. But I did see him at Proactive through the gym at the gym a lot this summer, just lifting. But his trainer is dribbled too much. That's his guy who really works him out. But I would say Kobe White is one of the guys that just coming into season, like we could go in this group chat that I've been in with a bunch of other like basketball heads, scouts, draft analyst guys, just basketball heads, media guys. Like we're in this chat just talking, and they're like, most improved candidates, who are they? One of the guys I brought up immediately is Kobe White, and he's been having a great season. And
Yeah,
so I think, just being on one or two sessions with him, though, I don't feel like, like just being in one or two sessions is like I could see just in his movements, but then like I saw him a lot in pickup. I saw him against a lot of the guys in pickup. And yeah, that was the one guy I was like, he's definitely gonna break out this year. And he has. He's been killing it. So
yeah,
shout out Kobe.
he's a great candidate too, because it's like I mean the Bulls as a team aren't doing so great, but it's 100% not his fault. Like he's doing really good.
He's doing what he needs to do.
Mhm.
He's putting the
He's
ball in
doing
the basket, playmaking, getting spots, hitting clutch shots, clutch buckets. If you go look, him alongside DeRozan have been like the closers, really. So obviously DeRozan's the guy, but he's definitely been doing what he's supposed to do and more.
true. Yeah. So yeah, next anonymous question. Who is someone you haven't trained with? Who is someone you haven't trained with yet that you really want to at some point?
That's a great question. Um, Obviously, just based off of what he's done in the game and everything, I would say LeBron is one guy that would be like insane to just be around. But in terms of like my favorite guys, probably to be in a workout with, I would love to see Luca in a workout. Would love to see Luca up close, but I feel like Steph would be really fun to see also.
I feel like with Steph,
It's tough. Steph's workouts, I've seen a lot of videos. They look really like high intensity and like fast, and just reps are crazy. So Steph is definitely one that I'd love to see work out too. With Luca, then I would say also Giannis is another one. Giannis is definitely up there also for me. Just I'm a big Giannis guy. I don't know. I love his mentality and like what he stands for. I think he's like a great ambassador for the game of basketball, and just like as like one of the faces of the league. So definitely Giannis would be another one up there for me.
yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't say Wemby. because it's like when Wemby's like just a thing.
Oh, that's okay, 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 okay.
So interesting to see. Like Wemby's definitely
That's the
on the bucket list of people I need to see like in
in
person
person.
live before God
Mhm.
forbid something happens or they retire. I need to see him play.
Yeah.
Like he is.
Honestly, you're right. He's definitely another one that would intrigue me because so we have the guarding stick, right? So whenever I get a block on that or something, like we'll be like Wemby arm, like that's the Wemby arm, when you
Yeah,
block the guy, with the stick.
right.
So it would be interesting to see, like, it'd be interesting to see him matched up with the guarding stick also, just like seeing how, like,
You
I want to see
have to get a
like
bigger
the
stick.
size. Yeah, I just want to see how he just his size and length in person, like on the court, like just yeah, no, that kid,
It's like
it's
him and
insane.
Chet. Him and Chet is gonna be something in the future.
I definitely think Wemby would be on there too now that you bring it up. But yeah, for sure would be like that mix of guys. I think LeBron would be more just of like
Because it's
it's
LeBron.
LeBron James.
Yeah,
It's LeBron James, you know. It's
yeah.
LeBron. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, this next question is basically, like based off all the clients, based off all the people you see work out and stuff like that, who do you think is winning the chip this year, in your opinion?
Hopefully my Lakers. But they don't look so great right now.
Yeah, I can see
Um
they just have to fire Darvin Ham. That's all they have to do. And it's like,
and no comment.
yeah, and it's no, I see people on Facebook, like the older guys on Facebook, they're just like, and the Lakers fans and Lakers players love to blame the coach. Like it's never the coach's fault. Like,
I mean, I think
I blame
rotations is a big part of it, but also just seeing like the games this year, I think just their energy and intensity level. Like sometimes you gotta almost play out of like desperation. Like you gotta like have some sense of urgency. And I feel like sometimes they lack it and there's just like too many lapses. And I just don't think the rotations are consistent. I
yeah,
mean, Darvin Ham is an NBA coach. He was an NBA player. He's been around the NBA. He's been around the NBA longer than whoever else is talking, whether it's me or whoever else, fans and stuff.
yeah, true.
So he'll figure it out, or else knowing the Lakers and their fan base, like it'll be, they'll look for a new coach. But I'm sure once figure out the pieces, it'll be it'll be different. But for in terms of title contenders, guys who I think could win the chip, it's gonna be hard for me to say this honestly. I think Boston looks really scary.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
so
true.
that's one out the East, and then one out the West. Clippers are scaring me a little bit too, and I don't want to say scaring me because as a Laker fan, like I was always like, nah, like Clippers are little bro, like can't have any of that. Like I was very like anti-Clipper, anti-Clipper. But after, working with like those guys over the summer and like, seeing like kind of building like, a little more personal relationships with them, like and seeing just they're nice guys and everything. Like I got some I want to say some love for the Clippers for
Yeah,
guys like P, Brandon Boston, Bones Highland, those guys we worked out with a few times this summer or a good amount of times this summer. Um so yeah, I would say that could be the potential finals matchup right there. I think Clippers Boston sounds like my prediction as of now. Where we at in the season, given everyone's healthy. Um, but yeah,
yeah. I honestly see it too because it's like Russ off the bench has been a monster defensively too. Like he's
oh
been
yeah,
really good defensively for the Clippers this year, and it's like honestly, as long as the Clippers curse doesn't apply, I can see them winning the chip. But it's like every year, and something that can go wrong goes wrong. I feel
right.
it's rough, But
right. Injuries are big.
yeah, it's always
Injuries are really big. Health is like a really big thing. And
Mhm.
just not even in basketball, just life in general. But yeah, I mean, you know how the Clipper curse and all that
Yeah,
has been. I just feel like they never, like, except for the 1 year that they blew the 3-1 lead to Denver in the bubble. Like, I don't know if they've had like a full season, like with both stars and the whole team intact throughout the playoffs. I think Kawhi's gotten hurt two of those years, and maybe P was hurt one of them. And also another big thing is like this offseason was like the first offseason really that like Kawhi and Paul George, didn't really have to like do as much. I mean, I think I could speak more for P than for Kawhi. It's like first off season, he didn't really have to worry about coming back from like a surgery or an injury. Like he had the whole shoulder thing before. Like, it was just season he could just focus, like off season, focus on sharpening his game and just working on his body and just like continue to maintain strength and just not having to come back from a surgery or an injury and like do full recovery and then build up it, like that extra few weeks or that extra month or two that you get from not having to do all that, just it helps you immensely throughout the season. So
it's so true.
um I think that's a big little like difference. And that's why you see like Kawhi, I think he's played almost every game this year. They haven't really been load managing him. PG's played a lot of games this year. I don't think he's really missed very many, maybe like a couple. Um, and yeah, and then Russ sacrificing, coming off the bench, being a dog on defense, um, great leadership. I think James Harden is really like found his role, like found his spot. I think just to see where they were from the first 5 to 7 games to where they are now is scary. Because at the beginning it was a lot of ISO dribble, 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 ISO dribble, 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 drive, dribble, my turn, your turn. And now you look at their offense and the way they just move the ball and move without the ball, and you could have multiple guys and you could have P bring the ball up and run the offense and start the action. You could have James, Kawhi, and PG both could play out of the mid post. So it's just it's they're very scary to watch. Um, in terms offensively, if they have it defensively too, yeah, it's they're definitely a title favorite, I think.
Mhm. Yeah. So before the show ends, pretty much, the way the show works is the first question always comes from me, and the last question also always comes from me. And that's if you had to give one piece of advice to the people watching at home, to any future athletes, trainers, agents, whatever, what would you tell them?
A great question. Um, I would say whatever it is that you want to do, try to do it at the highest level and try to be great at it. So like, and I could just speak on in my like path right now, but like I want to be an agent or I want to work in the NBA front office like one day, hopefully work my way up to, GM, whatever it is. But I want to be around basketball at the highest level. So a lot of people think towards their ultimate goal and really try to shoot for that right away. Especially being young, like time moves by really, really fast. I would say don't look at the end goal, look at the first step and just take the first step. And we get so caught up in like the end goal. Like I'm not even close to where I want to be right now. Like I had a really big summer, really big year, I think, of growth and just from where I was a year ago to where I am now. I feel it, but definitely be happy with the growth, be satisfied with it. Or I don't want to say satisfied, be happy and proud of it, but don't be satisfied. You know, don't slow down because of that. Don't get comfortable. Um, Still hold yourself accountable, be humble, check yourself sometimes, and really say, like, did I get better? Did I improve? What can I do to get better? And at the same time, as you're being instructional in that way, you got to be more motivational when you're on the court in this sense, or when you're in action. Just know that you put the time in and the work in, that you do this. And that's why you could be motivational with yourself. And if you can't be motivational with yourself, you don't really know what you're doing, then it just means you have more to learn. So whatever it is that you need to go learn it. Put your head in a, whether it's put your head in a book, or whether it's, you know, going and doing an action, whatever it is you need to whatever your end goal is in something, always just take the first step and then look to build from there. And then the more progress, the more growth you see, great. Don't be satisfied in it. Be proud of it, be happy about it, and recognize it, but know that in order to reach a certain level and to be at the highest level, you got to keep pushing the threshold, pushing, pushing, pushing. So I think that would be the biggest, you know, thing. And then also just, you know, time moves really fast. Don't don't get don't procrastinate. I'm the biggest procrastinator. Like, be
Yeah.
proactive. Be really like 4 years moves like that. Like I remember just, you know, I remember starting off college like it was yesterday. And now I'm like, I could have done two, you know, undergrad degrees by now. Like, it's crazy just how fast things move. So, you know, it'll just make you a better person if you could really just lock in and take care of what you need to take care of just right away, and just not looking so far ahead, and just being present in the moment and really focusing on what it is you need to do now and take care of it, like, to the highest of your ability, to the highest level. Like, it'll just do you wonders. And I'm still figuring that out as we go, but I definitely want to say I got better at it the last year.
100%. Keep pushing, ladies and gentlemen. Michael, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. If you guys like this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you guys, want to follow up with the show, see who's coming on next, see what's going on, I'll add the links down below. If you want to see what Michael's got going on, I'm going to add his links down below as well. And with that, this has been the You Ask Me podcast. My name is Evan Toronto. This has been Michael Hayon, and I'll see you next week. Yup.
Yeah.